So everyone loves a good cup of tea, but did you know the actual tea leaves in the tea bags themselves are actually very beneficial to the garden, and I'm going to tell you why. Notice how I mentioned that the tea leaves are good and not the tea bags, and that's because they might contain plastics. Even if the tea bags say that they are suited for composting or putting into your food waste, chances are that the bag itself still contains small bits of microplastics. So personally what I tend to do is just literally just chuck them straight in the bin, and I just try and keep the actual tea leaves itself for the garden. So tea bags are very rich in nitrogen and tannic acids. Because they're already broken up into many bits and pieces, they're very easy to break down in compost and other areas as well. They can also help with plants with drainage, as like I said, because it's already broke down, the water can flow through it quite easy. It also helps to keep moisture inside the pot, so when it gets a bit drier, that the water can stay in there so the roots can suck up more water. So if you're like me and you've got yourself a little compost bin going on with some fruit and veg in it, tea leaves are very good for composting. As they are already broken down into many little pieces, they will compost a lot quicker and a lot faster. So just simply adding them to your compost bin will help speed up the process for all the other stuff that's already in there. But while we're talking about composting, little red worms like this also love tea leaves. They can help turn tea leaves into better nutrients as well in the planting pots. This is a bonus because tea leaves are very good for composting, and worms actually like eating them, and they can actually turn them into even better nutrients for the garden. So now that I told you that tea leaves are very easy to compost and they're very easy to put nutrients into the soil, so how about we put some nutrients straight into the plant pots themselves? So there is a couple ways that we can do this. The first one is to basically just mix up your tea leaves with the soil before you actually plant a plant. So mix it in with some compost. There's two other ways that we can do it with these as well. The first way we're going to be able to add tea leaves to our plant pots is simply just move your finger across the top of the soil, just to break it up a bit, like so. And then once the top is all loose, what you can do is sprinkle in your tea leaves, and then just go back over it. And what it does then, it just buries it a little bit deeper. When they start breaking down the tea leaves, it should just go straight into the soil. And then when you water the plant as well, it should put those tea leaves a bit more deeper into the ground, which then will put a lot more nutrients into it to help this little plant grow. And now the second way what we can do is, instead of breaking the soil up completely, is to put a layer of it around the top of the plant. It should look like that. Just try not to put too much around the base of the actual plant you're planting. We don't want to end up damaging it. So while it looks like this does also give it another added bonus. Instead of it just also adding nutrients into the soil, it also deters pests. Now, see these little guys here? These are little slugs. Tea leaves are very good at deterring snails and slugs from your garden plants. So while our plant has got a nice barrier around it, it should stop these little guys from climbing into the pot and trying to eat my leaves. It won't be 100%, like I said, it just deters them. They don't like the smell, they don't like the taste, so they will try and stay away from it. Chances are, by the time this starts decaying or starts going into the soil a little bit, some slugs might end up trying to get to the plant anyway. But there's also something else that these tea leaves can also deter. So another thing tea bags are good at is deterring little creatures like this one. Cats don't care where they poo, and they will literally tear up the garden just to have a little place where they can go to the toilet. So tea bag leaves do help deter little creatures like this as well. Because as you can see, cats have got to my garden and actually dug into some of my plant pots. It's lucky that the growing season is over and I'm not really using the pots anymore, but as you can see, cats do love using the pots as like a toilet litter tray, and they just dig up the holes and they don't really care for the plants inside of them. Okay, so that was the benefits of using tea leaves in your garden. I'm going to show you now a trick on what you can actually do with an actual tea bag. I know I said usually I get rid of the tea bags, but there's a little trick you can do to actually involve the tea bags to actually help your garden as well, and I'm going to show you. So the trick you can do with the actual bag itself is turn it into a little plant pot to start off your little seeds. So like I said, if you haven't got no plant pots or anything at home ready for the spring, we can use the tea bag to start it. All you got to do is, once it's been used, let it dry for a little bit, and then all you got to do is open up the top of the bag like this, just so you can start seeing some of the tea leaves inside. So now all we got to do is pick up the seed like this, just dump it inside like that, water it, and then that should act as a little plant pot for your seedlings to start. The only thing I recommend is though, is once it actually starts flowering and actually starts coming out and the roots are getting bigger, when it comes to transplanting the plant into a bigger pot, try and get rid of much of the tea bag as possible. Like I said, you don't want no plastics or any microplastics in the pots because you don't want that damaging the actual plant. Now all you do is leave it outside, put it somewhere to just grow, water it, make sure it's not waterlogged. That should now help the little seed grow. So yeah, so that's just a couple of ways that tea bags and tea leaves can actually benefit the garden. So when you're actually making a cup of tea, just remember that tea bag can actually help you in the garden as well. So it makes the tea drinking a lot more better.